July was a slow reading month for me, but I still had some interesting book-related things happen. So let's go over what I read during the month of July and what I plan to read for my TBR in August. You may have noticed the necklace that I'm wearing today. So I got this from Samuel R. Delany, science fiction grandmaster. And I got this after being noticed in a buddy read with Ira, Bart, and Robin from Stations of the Tide. So we are actually reading Stations of the Tide, which is by Michael Swanwick. But I got noticed by Samuel R. Delany, and he sent us a necklace of a symbol for theater sturgeon. So it's kind of a tangled web here going on. But you may have already heard Bart, Robin, and I already talk about this, why we got it, how we got noticed. And if you want the full details, Bart's got a really good video about it, kind of explaining the context of why we were sent this letter. But, basically boils down to Samuel Delany noticed us in this Stations of the Tide video. And then he also noticed Ira's logo of Ask the Next Question, which is kind of a creed by Theodore Sturgeon that Delany has been influenced by himself. So he is taken to creating these little necklaces with the symbol on them and sending them out to people. So I do really glad to have gotten this, and I thank you to Samuel Delany. And he also sent us a letter, which the letter is typed, but he did sign the letter for us, so that's a nice piece of science fiction history to have. But yeah, if you want to know more, want to know the full context, I will link Bart's video below in the description, so go ahead and check that out. As to what I read during the month of July, so July was kind of a slow reading month for me. July and August are both kind of busy times, so I didn't really get as much reading done as I would have liked. But I did read. I started out the month with Deepness in the Sky by Vernor, Vinge. And it didn't help that this is like a really chunky book. So it took me like 2.5, almost 3 weeks to read through this one. So it was kind of a slow read for sure. And I liked it. I did like it. It's a sequel to A Fire Upon the Deep. Or not a sequel. It's a prequel to A Fire Upon the Deep. Both books won the Hugo Award the year that came out. And so this one, I have read A Fire Upon the Deep. I think out of the two books, A Fire Upon the Deep is the better book. I did like this one, but it was very slow. The plot was very slow. Sometimes like the movement of a glacier. And I do think that you can read both books as standalones. They're not really connected. I think maybe there's one character that appears in both, but they're in different parts of the galaxy, and they're not really connected in any way. So this one is about a two kind of factions of civilization that they've spread. Humans have spread throughout the galaxy or whatever. And we have this group called the Cheng Ho, and they've expanded into the galaxy, and they've done so through they're kind of traders, like free trade. They go from civilization to civilization because there are all these different civilizations of humanity spread everywhere, and they all have kind of exist on different timelines because space is so big it takes forever to travel from one star system to the next. And all of these societies are at a different technological level. So the Cheng Ho will kind of go trade with one group and take what they traded and go to another planetary system, and they have kind of expanded and almost kind of have dominated all of human space just from being traders like this. And they will get and use technology from one civilization, they'll get a piece of technology that another civilization does. So they kind of hoard this technology. And so they're a little more advanced than everyone that they encounter. And so they notice this star that they have decided to call the on-off star. And that is because every 250 years, the star turns off. And there'll be like a period where the star is kind of dormant. And then it will turn back on. So this is a very unique phenomenon in the universe. And so they're going to go investigate this star system. And it turns out there's also some evidence that there is a planet with intelligent life on it. And throughout all of humanity's explorations, they haven't really found any intelligent aliens. They've found some like remnants of it, some dead civilizations, but no active intelligence. So they head towards this star, and there is another nearby human civilization called the Emergence that is also heading towards and racing towards this star system at the same time. And they both are hoping to exploit it. So they wind up kind of arriving there at the same time. And of course, some conflicts ensues between the Emergence and the Chang Ho. And, I won't get too much of it into it just to avoid spoilers. But there's definitely a clash going on. And we also get POVs, some points of view from the alien civilization on the planet. And this planet is inhabited by, I guess you would call them spiders. They're not actually spiders, but they are very spider-like alien species. Which really, because of the way the narrative is told here, they seem very much human-like. And there's a reason for that. Why is it that these spiders seem very human the whole time? There's a reason that they get into that later on. But it's not like the spiders in Tchaikovsky's Children of Time. They're both kind of spider creatures. Tchaikovsky's, they were actually spiders in Tchaikovsky's series. But they're, that's kind of where the comparison ends. They're both spider-like, and that's about it. But I did like the spider points of view, the spider storyline. It did feel a little slow sometimes, but they have this kind of like Einstein-like character that we follow. And this spider is kind of discovering all sorts of, technological principles and things to help its society grow. And while that's happening, the Chang Ho and the Emergence are up in space orbiting this planet. They haven't come down to it yet. And they're kind of playing this waiting game because they're waiting for the spiders to advance enough so they can trade with them. And so the book does have a lot of interesting concepts. I really like the Chang Ho and the Emergence civilization, the way that's set up. There's some technology that, although maybe a little bit outdated, is still, I thought it was still really interesting. Some of the technological concepts in here. The whole on-off star was really interesting. And so the humans are in orbit around this planet on this kind of like an asteroid made out of diamond. That was really interesting. So there's a lot of fascinating concepts in here. But the problem I had with this book and why it was so slow is because Vernor Vinge, he kind of telegraphs that they're eventually going to go down to this spider planet. So we know, the reader knows, like, we're going to get to the spider planet. It just takes the entire book to get there. So it's almost 800 pages. I mean, it takes like 650, 700 pages before they actually go down to the spider planet. And I think all that did is just like, the whole book was a waiting game. And even though, the plot line itself was a waiting game. And they're there for decades of time. And, time is a little bit different here because they can go into cold sleep, cryogenic storage. So decades of time may not necessarily mean that much to a person. But yeah, I mean, we play this like 50-year-long waiting game, and it's just not much happens in between. It's kind of a character-focused story, which I did like the characters. It has a really terrible villain in it, Thomas Now, and then one of the heroes, kind of that, I don't know if you call him a hero, but Pham Nguyen, really great character. And there's a lot of kind of like, and there's like kind of like some strategy and tactics between Chang Ho and the Emergence going on this whole time. So we kind of watched that play out. It just takes so long to get any plot going in this one. So I did like it, even if it was a bit slow. So it took me, and because there's virtually no plot in this until the very end, took me a while to get through. So I did. I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Good book. You just set your expectations for a long, slow read. So, and I read the mass market version of this, but I do also have a first edition hardcover of this one. So they both have great covers. So I didn't want to read this because the book's so heavy that you really don't want to read a heavy book for 800 pages. So I read the mass market version. But yeah, it just took a long time. If you've read Fire Upon the Deep, and want to get further into that universe, I would recommend it. And of course, it won the Hugo Award. So if you want to read through all those award books, just be prepared to be in it for the long haul. After A Deepness in the Sky, I did read the July-August issue of Asimov Science Fiction magazine. Really good issue. Really, really enjoyed it. It had kind of a theme. Sometimes an issue will have kind of a theme of stories that are similar. Not every story will have that theme, but most of them will. And this one kind of had a theme of like science fiction based around historical events. So there's an alternate history story in this that I really liked. There was a time travel story that I really liked. And then there was a couple stories set in the past, but it had science fictional elements in them. So yeah, really good issue. I'm not going to talk too much about it here. I'm considering doing a full review of it. But the only thing about those is I would like to do reviews of each issue of Asimov's, but I don't know if the audience is there for it. It seems like very few people read the sci-fi magazines these days, and that means even fewer people are going to watch a video of it that I make, which, I guess that's okay. So I kind of have to decide if it's worth it, even if I don't have much of an audience. I like to get 100 views at least on my videos, which is not much in the scheme of things. I know 100 views is very small when it comes to YouTube, but for me, that's what I like to see. That's all that kind of justifies the effort that it goes to put into making a video. And if you really think of it, if you were in a building with 100 people talking about science fiction, that's a lot of people. Like, that's a lot of people at that point. On YouTube, yeah, it's a teeny tiny amount of people. But yeah, if I was at a convention or something talking about Asimov science fiction and it had 100 people in the audience, that would be a big audience. So I don't know if that a video of Asimov's would get 100 views. I did do the best sci-fi short stories, which is kind of a half-year roundup of Asimov's. That video's already been out. That was my last one, and it seems to be doing okay. It's got 100 views, over 100 views. So I don't know if a single issue would reach that. So I may try it out, see how it goes, see if there's an audience for it. And what I can see, I would be the only person on YouTube making new videos of Asimov's. There is really no one that's talking about it on YouTube. So, maybe I could be the only one out there doing it. So that might be fun. But of course, maybe no one is doing it because no one's going to watch it. So just kind of one of those internal debates you got to have when you do YouTube. So let me know in the comments, what do you think? Should I do a video even if no one's going to watch it? I mean, I guess if the time spent doing it is fun, maybe it doesn't matter. But yeah, let me know in the comments. What do you think about that? Do you want to see any Asimov's science fiction reviews? And the next book I read during the month of July is actually my current read. I'm still reading it. I'm reading Century Reign by Alastair Reynolds. This is also, it's almost 600 pages, so it's a pretty big book. I'm like, that far through it. So like, I think I'm like 60% of the way through. This is kind of a noir science fiction thriller, kind of similar to Halcyon Years that came out this year. But of course, quite a lot longer. I am enjoying it. It's got a private detective investigating a murder, and it's got some science fiction stuff going on as well. Kind of like a alternate Earth going on. I won't talk about it much today, since I'm not completely finished with it. I kind of want to do a comparison of this and Halcyon Years when I'm done. But yeah, of course, Alastair Reynolds is my favorite author, so it's always a good time reading his books. This is kind of one of his backlist books that I hadn't gotten around to yet. I've got a few of his left that I still need to read. Terminal World is another one. And then the sequels to Blue Remembered Earth I still need to read. So there's still some books out there of his that I haven't read that I'd like to get to. And this will help with that because it's a long one. And then he will be having a new book coming out. So a little bit of news, Merlin's Way. And it looks like it may be set for release in January. So that'll be, and that's kind of a fix-up novel, which is interesting because you don't really see fix-up novels today like you did back in the science fiction days. It's his Merlin's his character of Merlin. He's written several stories about them, and he kind of put them all together into one book. So I haven't read any of the Merlin stories, so that'll be interesting to get in January when it comes out. But yeah, hopefully I'll finish this one soon, and then move on to kind of a more proper August TBR. So for my August TBR, I am a kind of a mood reader, so I don't really like to set a strict TBR. But I do have some books I'm going to read that I want to read, and then one that is a for sure read. But I would like to kind of start off with some smaller books, because after Deepness in the Sky and Century Reign, like to read something a little bit smaller. But I'm thinking about reading a Delany book, which, inspired by his letter. And I'm kind of leaning towards the Einstein intersection of his. So I don't really know much about it, but it's a novel of a strange far future when this world of Einsteinian laws intersects with the universe with a different set of rules. So yeah, it could be interesting, and kind of like, this little vintage paperback of it. So I might read that one. And then I would also kind of like to read a fantasy novel, or this is actually a novella, and this is The Scour by Richard Swan. So this is part of his, and this is the broken binding edition of a novella. So kind of like that. But this is his, so he wrote a trilogy called Empire of the Wolf. It's kind of a fantasy horror series, and I really liked it. Really enjoyed it quite a bit. One of my favorite fantasy horror stories I've ever read, and yeah, I guess there's not really a whole lot of fantasy horror out there, but this is a novella, kind of a prequel, set in that same world. So, I'd like to get into that, and it'd be a short read. So between this and the Einstein intersection, I'm gonna read one of those two books after I finish Century Reign. I'm not sure which one I'll read first. And then later in the month, in August, I will be having another buddy read with Bart, Ira, and Robin. And this time we are going to read M. John Harrison's Light. So I really don't know much about what this is. This is kind of Bart's pick. I've never read this author before, so I'm sure it'll be interesting. We always pick some interesting books to read, some kind of more seems like we've been picking some more obscure science fiction. And Stations of the Tide, of course, was the last one. Ended up being a really good book. So we'll see how this one goes. Don't know if that's whose channel that's going to be on, but we'll talk more about that in the future. And let me know in the comments if you've read Light or M. John Harrison. Hey guys, I wanted to interject with a little video here real quick. Some of people have taken interest in my dinosaur collection. So if you don't care about dinosaurs, you can just skip to the end of the video or just end the video here. But if you are interested, so my most recent acquisition here is this big guy, and this is the Dinosaur Dreadnoughtus. So this is a sauropod from the late Cretaceous period, and one of the biggest dinosaurs to ever have existed. Not the very biggest, but it's certainly in the running there. It was thought to be one of the heaviest, actually. And so this was from a company called Howlon Good. It's a Chinese company that makes scientifically accurate dinosaur figures. And this one came with some little babies. So that's the only one that I have that has these little babies here with it. So that was cool. But yeah, if you're interested in dinosaurs and collecting figures, it's a really nice one. One of my favorites of my collection here. And I always like the big sauropod dinosaurs, so this one was, I just had to pick this one up for sure. And that's all I have for you today. Let me know in the comments. Have you read any of these books that I've talked about today? What are you going to read for your August TBR? Don't forget to like and subscribe. As always, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.